and Pansy here for all the action.
Thank you, and it's a it's gonna be a pleasure to watch this because right now I look at DA and I can't believe that they've been able to pull this off. I don't want to underestimate or undersell to you how important it has been for that flexibility and the ability to adapt. I'm so glad they highlighted the ability that they have currently to switch into some of that old play style to be able to see, okay, well, we can't play the edge game here, so our best option is X, Y, or Z. And they pick it perfectly more often than not. Now, it's no discredit to the other teams, but I see that stubbornness to yield playstyle, to back down. They believe in their theory and they want to apply it. And technically there's nothing wrong with that. But when you see someone like DA turning up and consistently delivering points, this has to get the attention of the rest of the lobby now.
It does. And when the team is starting to, or what should I say, Code Marco individually be enabled, I mean, the guy is currently fifth on the leaderboard when it comes to frags. The next person down to him on his team would be Smash, but they're both still within the top 10. Like, it's not like this is a fluke. It's not like they're playing off of placement points whatsoever. They are getting the points from frags to boot with it. They are currently in second with 81 kills, only done and out by Tornado Energy, who are currently in second. So it's tough at the top, and you need to frag out. It's as simple as that. It's okay getting all your placements and so on and so forth, but the kills have to be there with them. Once you are getting that final circle, once you are getting towards the latter stages of the game, being able to kill all your opponents in front of you and claim victory, it's just as important as actually making it with as many men as possible to that final circle, so to speak. I mean, it's Martin kind of, rounded it out best. It feels like a four-horse race at the moment when you have DATE, Northern Lights, and Liquid. 125 points to 141. It's not the biggest gap in the world. Liquid can certainly jump this, and James highlighted how they had a great weekend last weekend and started to kind of bring it back and reel it in a little bit. There is no reason why someone like Navi or ENCE, I think when you start getting below maybe TSM's point of view, 9th, 10th, it's going to get a hell of a lot harder. I mean, hell, even below ENCE, because that's when you drop into your 80 bracket. But there's no reason why ENCE couldn't frag out and do well for these next few days. But again, you put yourself at the foothold of that game of PUBG where it's all right and all singing and dancing and all says, well, I'm having a great day and a great weekend. You need these other teams to falter early.
Right, and to kind of, I just want to highlight one more thing. The dedication coming out from DA right now. They're at a LAN. They have committed. Obviously, it's a turbulent time in the world. I don't need to tell everyone that. Everyone's certainly aware now. But these boys have put this as their highest priority right now, as they want to do well in this. They have committed as much as they can. Personal time. They're all together. They're trying the best they can to make this count. Now, I would say, if you're someone like Liquid, I will still give them always the benefit of the doubt. The same with the CIS teams. I would say, however, someone like Liquid still has... it's almost a gear they can shift to that not many other teams can, which is simply the years of experience that they currently hold. Northern Lights have been there, but we haven't seen them have that big error. We were waiting for that one big tournament that we could say, hey, all right, there it is. There's the... I guess the medal at the end of all that hard work, because they did put up all those good results. They had been there. Like, everyone knows that Northern Lights were the real deal for a good chunk of time. But, as I said, the way of the world kind of stopped them from having that big event to solidify it. Tornado Energy, same can be said for them. I would still argue they are not as consistent as some of the big teams, but saying that, they're delivering more consistently now. So things have changed. This is certainly going to be a big shifting moment for some of these teams. The likes of Na'Vi, obviously hailed as some of the best in the CIS region, have struggled a bit here. Yes, you could see that for the last couple of weekends they pulled themselves back a little bit, but they've certainly not been the Na'Vi of old. We saw a glimpse of it. We saw that game that came out and we were like, oh, hold on, what if we get a little bit of that? And Senya going to get a little bit of shooting done very early on with that Scar, but nothing to come from it. And that's going to be WS on the move. So, again, to me, it's, do we see Liquid lean back into the, we can handle any pressure. We don't falter under this sort of pressure. We hold our nerve. Do we see DA, that kind of plucky upstart that, you know, we've seen the best and the worst of? There's no disputing it. DA found it hard to apply their style to the game for a while, but now it's clicked. It all makes sense to us. And, you know, the DA lull is more endearing than anything. It's more of a cheer than than Mockery. These guys have worked it out and it's proven the point. Or do we see the resurgence of those newer CIS teams that everyone loves to see? The great in-game leadership maybe of Northern Lights, Batulins pulling the boys to those brilliant positions and rotations. Or maybe Tornado Energy just fragging out, looking impervious to any team. Again, with all that said though, this circle kind of, lining up with Los Leones, I'd say, center point-ish?
So look, all the rotates are starting to come through. People are starting to transition to the initial circle. We can touch on the circle, and honestly, Lauren, if any action kicks off at all, just feel free to take it away and run with it. I just kind of want to round off something you were mentioning then about Team Liquid, about how they ever so slightly differentiate from the other teams that are up there within the top 4. When you look at how turbulent things have been for Northern Lights, for Tornado Energy, for DA, I mean, hell, they even won in the last competition. They didn't qualify for the last PCS. We've had 10th positions, we've had 11 positions, we've had very instability amongst those other rosters. With Liquid, it's been 7th, into 5th, into 2nd. Like, they keep getting better. And the only way next is, I mean, the next place to advance further is winning this whole thing. Like, the consistency of this roster, granted it may have had team changes here and there, but still, the consistency has been there. They may have not won one yet, but by God, they are such a phenomenally strong team. And again, could this be it? Could be this the you know, rounding out 2020 with raising the trophy? Time will tell.
Right. Yeah, you're spot on. It is going to be that proof's in the pudding, right? We can all expect things. I know everyone's made their choices noted with the points going on and their predictions. I love that PUBG supporting the community and giving you guys a further reason to watch, and I love still seeing those same old names in chat as well. You guys support whether or not there are skins to be won, but it's good to see some new faces. However, the bystanders going to get their first bit of action going on there over in the northwestern side of Los Leones, just going to be keeping control of this. We know this, I guess, way back when as kind of Shift W's territory. If you want to look at kind of Chris and Brexico, they love that sort of area. They certainly look comfortable in it. However, beyond that, we look at the teams on the outskirts. Your Na'Vis, your Sauna Boys, your Tornado Energies, and your WS, slowly working their way in. And I think this does become a discussion as well of how well do those edge teams do? Because we have seen that edge of the circle just flush with teams constantly. There's so many teams now holding onto that edge game and trying to play it out, which, hey, it's proven how well it can work. But we've also seen the teams who can adapt and also weigh up, okay, this isn't our best option, maybe doing better. So I'm curious to see how teams approach this now.
Regardless where this circle goes, if you are playing edge at the moment, I mean, you're going to be in a bit of dire straits if it does swing all the way onto the eastern side. But with a circle like this, when you have Los Leones smack bang in the middle, you have to remember that to the right-hand side of Los Leones, you have this hillside, this cliff face that encapsulates actually what the ENS players that are on your screen now are kind of running on the top of, more towards the north. ETG are down below them as well. The circle won't be going there. It will be pushing out eventually, either into Los Leones or certainly away from it. To get that eastern side, you're now hoping for the next hardship to come through. Yes, until we get further into the circles, it can land anywhere. It can go anywhere. But certainly you now need to be setting yourself up for those hardship. Have an emergency backup plan in place. Same could be said for Wanderer. He's made a hell of a lot of noise, so FaZe most certainly will know about this. The question is, does he know about them? Lurking steadily, so being proactive and certainly being aware whether or not the call came through all of a sudden, because he did just switch attention.
Well, the rest of FaZe, I think, just go in the vehicles. I am seeing Uber and 8C just in the distance in a vehicle. So whether or not they're kind of falling back from this 2-2 to support the others, it looks like that's the case. They're going to give up that little bit of territory they had slightly further towards the east of the circle. You can see where 8C was. They were just a touch away from that. So it looks like they're going to commit towards ensuring that Fuzzface and Gustav have the support. Wow, a southern shit, Rich.
All right, get on your bikes and get gone. I think that's the best to be said about this one. In theory, where Omacon's position are now, they could gatekeep. If anyone's going to come down on the eastern embankment, they could bank the kills. The strongest position here is pretty much where everyone is magnetizing towards. You can see FaZe Clan, Sauna Boys, WS, DA and Liquid slowly but surely in tail. Everyone else now is a little bit of a skip in front of them. You spoke about playing edge. If people were playing more towards the south, this has paid dividends. Absolute dividends. There could be quite a lot of transitional kills. We'll try and keep an eye on the kill feed, see what's going on across the map, as many people are going to be crashing into one another, which will be extremely dangerous. But again, FaZe Clan straight off the boot in the vehicles, crack on. With a circle like this as well, it limits that northern area. You will want to pull yourself further down because you would anticipate Los Leones pushing it further towards the south. But you do have to remember, eventually, there's going to be water in place, so you need to have that in the back of your mind. James, eyes on phase. Again, solid compound they've taken control of. You do have those open sides on the hangar, so you need to be very aware of it. Have a good amount of ground coverage and a bit of leverage to be able to support with players up high. Hence, slowly but surely, they will get into the circle. They're on the eastern side, but there is Shift W down below. Now, remember, Shift W has seen a few times in this predicament. They will tuck themselves into the corner, maybe even run the beach. They do have quite a substantial amount of fights we've seen, at least in the past. DA have sent it. They've made it. You do have a few houses that will be available. As we say this, we find our first victim. It's going to be Quizzy. Orange to pick up the free frag. 1 point goes the way of Na'Vi. And more importantly, they've at least cleared that path to get all the players in. The bigger problem now is, do T turn and face and say, well, you know what? We can gatekeep them. We can stop them in their tracks. Maybe we pin them back.
Yeah, we have to see if they decide to fight back. I think for Tornado Energy, sometimes it's cut the losses and move on. Sadly, that is going to be the case, it feels like, as they have a good lean to a more centralized position. Hence here, the Finns working their way through as well. They'll be heading a little bit further south, it seems, just kind of tickling along, moving past the likes of ETG. Nothing too much. Diggory could be in trouble if he gets complacent with where he pulls up, but I doubt he would. He'd try and move into the best cover he can to keep the vehicle safe and then look for some cover himself. It's all about survivability and sustainability at this point. The teams have gotten so good at the ability to stay alive. They know exactly how to play these rotations. We don't have the same old scraps. It's a very different game. You know, we get to late circles where they'll play the percentages pretty well to keep themselves safe. Speaking of that, though, TSM getting a little curious towards the bystanders, who are in quite the large 2-2 split. Now, luckily for the bystanders, this compound has that little bit of flat terrain in front of it where you can keep some good eye of watch, which is exactly what Hjort's doing. A good enough tag on Vard should keep him at least at bay. Now, Fex did seem to kind of adjust as well. They're not really committing, it feels like.
But the fight that could potentially open up on your screen in front of you, ENCE versus Shift W, would be imperative and rather important. With this circle and how it plays towards the northern side, you have it like a diamond area. I'll highlight it once we move towards the map, but it's basically on the southern side of Los Leones, where I think it's currently Redline are going to be situated. Up from them, it's ETG, so you can just see above Redline, you have like that diamond encapsulated area. I wouldn't anticipate this going the way of ENCE unless you got an extreme hard shift. That's why everyone's moved more towards the western side, and the circle does follow. So for ENCE now, they have the fight of their life. Shift W, Omicron, ETG behind them. The question is who moves first. For ETG, there's a possibility that they take the northern rotation. They try and avoid people, maybe even jump in to where Redline are. But because of the water, because of Los Leones, because of everything else that this circle's allowed in, and generally how things play out, there is very limited amounts of movement, because my God, that is a lot of players alive for such a small circle, and this all comes down to having 50% water with that previous one.
Look at the teams who are quite central here. DA, FaZe, Tornado Energy, and Northern Lights. Now, DA's getting quite bold. They're moving now? Are they moving up to Liquid? Where the hell are DA going? Oh my word, this could be disastrous for DA. They cannot afford to lose this to the likes of Liquid. Mert's already down, no trade available. Code Marco, Metralia, Smash all turn up. They want this area, but Clib's holding it, and Clib has been an absolute animal for Liquid. But Code Marco, we know he's the quiet beast himself, but James allows none of it. Attack from the backline, sure, but another loss for DA. This is the worst start they could have imagined. Feeding that Liquid creation that's going to be bubbling away throughout this event. We look at Liquid as those teams that can turn up when required, and this is the requirement, and Clib has already passed. Metralia is now the only one standing for DA. I can't imagine a world where this went worse, and DA took a gamble. They took a risk, and that risk did not pay off. Metralia is trying to get a quick revive, but I see a nade, I see mollies, I see certain death coming.
Not good at all, as Team Liquid remove the #1 team currently in the lobby. You saw Tornado Energy in the distance as well. They were just chomping at the bit, hoping they can get involved. It's a numbers game. That's the be-all and end-all of it. You are looking to get up on the leaderboard, but if you can take out the #1 team or anybody who's in your way by doing so, that just pays dividends back to back. TSM, very hyper-aware that we do have a member in here. Regardless of who it is, the flashbang goes in, the turn's there from Vard, and the kill is good. TSM live to fight another day, but the bystanders, they do hold strong, and they hold a pretty decent compound. Things are still getting busy over on that eastern side, and everyone else generally have made it. Advancement of Shift W. Pink Ponies have gone down to the south. but we cannot anticipate or not justify enough how good that is for Team Liquid to remove a game, such a vital game where they need as many points as possible, to remove the #1 team in 16th. It's huge.
And let's talk about the mental side of that. If you're DA, you are flustered. We've seen these guys are fiery, so that will frustrate them. Now they can come out of it two ways. They either get more kind of fired up, they come back in, don't care, they recover, and they come out swinging, or they get a little frustrated and make poor errors. So we'll see. That's obviously not for now. We do still see Wanderer keeping a bit of tab on Besto, and I don't know where the support for Besto really is. Tab's pretty disconnected, and with these flashes, surely they're going to commit to the peak soon enough, but they're wary, WS. They don't want to give away the game either. But Besto did go down to the nade, so from safe distance, they just throw that nade in.
Shift W, unfortunately, also falls. Second team to be leaving us here with the circle update. It has gone more towards that western side once again. So everyone in the east is just kind of scrambling. Eventually it will come to a head. I am very intrigued after this is all said and done to see what ramifications DA going out in 16th will have. That is a catastrophe if we've ever seen one. Northern Lights going with a 2-2 split. I'm kind of okay with that. Hold the bystanders back. And more importantly, that'll be Lou and Spyro's job, just to deny an entry, an access point, unless the bystanders have to go toe-to-toe with TSM, which by holding the 2-2, it may force that one. The tab falling is another big loss. It feels like it's tough at the top at the moment, with Shift W being in 5th and DA being in 1st. If we see Na'Vi going down early, that is a team that are looking to try and bolster up that leaderboard. But losing players at this stage while everyone else is still standing strong won't do them any good. ENCE in transition. Omakan to the side as well. Remember, we've been speaking about this eastern side for quite some time. Out of the car and away we go. Fender losses behind. They need to turn and face this one quickly. Answer the call. Yes, he does. With initial one falling, the drive-by attempts to happen. Rustamar, you've got to get into the right position, my friend. With the smokes down, there's a potential for a res, or is there? Because that nade, the third party, Lauren. This is massive from Omakan. They stumbled at the right time. They knew when it was time to strike. They've been watching all this unfold, and now they could clean up what has been started by ENCE.
They couldn't be happy about walking into this. Everyone already kind of broken and bruised and trying to pick up that pieces of that quick kind of scuffle that they just had. And you see Rustamar desperate for a res. He doesn't want to be alone in this, but Omakan get to just step in, leap, just stride over ENCE now. More nades begin to pour in. Rustamar should be able to get the res on Tixu unless a deeper nade comes out, but this is bad news for the Finns. Rustamar and Tixu are going to have to try and keep this one together, but they are in a bad spot, and that is a good nade to do it. There's that deep nade we were waiting on. Omakan, the timing could not have been better.
Another team within that top 7 falls sub-10th place. It's not a great start to a championship weekend. Sauna Boys were looking onwards at that, so just be aware that Omakan's position has heavily been noted both by Redline and the Sauna Boys. How much further they go is a different question altogether. They will have to fight through that open side, and it's very open, very exposed. No real hard terrain or houses to utilize to the best of their ability. TSM will hold towards the north. I don't know if the bystander's position has been noted. You would have to assume so. Depends what Fex is looking towards. If he's still aiming towards that northeast side, then maybe they do not know that they have wrapped low. I'm sure we'll find out with the next circle update. People in dire straits. Pink Ponies could be the next on the chopping block, with 2 of them standing. Excuse me, 3 of them standing, but 1 of them standing against a 4 versus 1. And thank you very much, observers, for actually pointing towards it. Goya has to get the hell out of there. The vehicle is a possibility, but, you know, by doing it, you are going to create sound. You are going to at least make note of your position for other players on the map. I'm seeing WS actually finding a place towards Na'Vi. Senya, I believe, is the last player alive for Na'Vi, so that would be another devastating blow for them to go down so early. They try and mount some kind of a comeback. At the moment, though, it seems to be gridlock in the middle with a circle hard shifting towards this position. Again, it's just not been easy for anybody in the East. This is a horrible transition.
It has been brutal. This has been a very, very rough circle, as you said, for anyone coming in on that eastern side. Your Omakans, your Ences, I guess Redline and Pink Ponies for a little bit as well. Anyone who opted to sit in the east has had to constantly shift and shift and shift and move in and then just kind of compress towards the eastern side of the circle. Liquid get the perfect keys to gatekeep now. Look at their position on the circle. It's phenomenal. For Northern Lights, it's not so bad. They already have Lou across the road. Now, Lou might have to do some heavy lifting to try and ensure some safety for Spyro, Batulins, and Perfectix, but it can be done. A couple of smokes, a good bit of cover, they can make something of it. And I feel with someone like Batulins at the helm, they should be somewhat okay. I feel like they have a good idea of how they want to do this. Maybe in their mind, they would have loved to maybe caught bystanders on the way in. You know, expect that crunch, and they'll have to now deal with 2 fights. That's something for them to discuss. As we do see Omicron, though, still putting in work on the eastern side. They were the downfall of Ents, and they might be the downfall of another bunch of Finns. What do they have against them? T-Bone just laying in the fire, already going to get down. It looks like Misa's on his last legs. He is confirmed. Nice work. 6 kills for Omicron. These guys, if they ever found consistency in the way they frag out, they would be one of the most dangerous teams you'd ever see. Now, Uber getting into the game finally. We do see the bystanders moving up, and it will now be Northern Lights' problem.
That's because TSM have left 2 players behind them, so as they tried to leapfrog into the circle, they've been caught off guard. Miraku and Fex are just absolutely bolting into them from behind. All kinds of problems, especially if Northern Lights want to get involved in this themselves. Remember, they do like to play a more passive, I want to say, game, and if they are doing so and just being safety, frags would mean the world to them. And if they can get involved in this in third party and take away some easy kills, then so be it. They'll absolutely love to do that. Omicron, again, it's not going to be the easiest way into this one. Their positions will be noted, especially with the AWM kicking loud and proud. They could have eyes on that. Certainly a warning for anybody else. Could be a warning for Imlil as well, with very little health. He could be walking into the open arms of death. We'll see if it's Sweet Embrace to pick him up. Yes, it does. 12th position. Uber kicks off onto him, picks up another one. Ibi onto Page, finds him. TSM have found another one. Pink Pony has gone down. Sauna Boys outside, and again, still lingering and lurking, throwing the nades a little bit too early, which may give away the position had it not been noted before, but we'd have to assume so. Red line, they have to commit to the smoke wall. All the utility is being used. And again, Lauren, you said maybe it's time for Liquid to capitalize and pick up some frags as people try to get into this one. James is up front and he's ready to receive this, but Omicron are there as well. It's a 3-way battle.
And I don't want to go anywhere near Omicron if I'm any of these teams. Redline's brave enough, but that's about it. The rest of Liquid now have to deal with their loss. They're down to 3, but they can still hold this. They're still in the better position. Keep in mind, Redline and Omicron are just in this new circle. Liquid are a little bit deeper further forward, so Marv, QBE, Nail Up, they are all working against it. Nail Up barely picked up in time. Vazku out on the horizon, the only one alive, if I'm not mistaken, for the Omicron side. Nade comes in from Mexi. The timing could not have been better.
Wow.
Imperative moment for Liquid. Now they can quickly deal with Omicron, and that's exactly what they want to do. I love this idea from Liquid. The fast handling of one allows time now to deal with Omicron in a safe manner because they deserve to be treated with respect. These boys already popped off, but now they're going to be put in the ground. Gemty and Vazku fall. Liquid controlling the East. How many kills are Liquid up to now? Because these guys have now found form several times over.
It's as simple as that. Send 2 up front to deal with it. Leave 1 back to give them information. It's job done. Bye-bye Omicron. Liquid continues with 3. Losing James. Yes, it's always bad to lose a player, but giving himself up to hold that line to give the information back. The bystanders, they've been stuck between a rock and a hard place for quite some time. Unfortunately, they do die, but they at least make it into the top 10, so it's better than nothing. But Tooling steals that one away. Now, we spoke about Northern Lights. They've been quite quiet, but this is the style. This is the game that they like to do. The problem is that they left it a little bit too late. With Tornado Energy directly in front of them, it could be even harder now to get further into the circle. FaZe Clan does have 4, and they got 5 on the board. Let's not forget about these guys. They are still one of the world's best for a goddamn reason. You know, I know they've not had it best so far throughout this competition, but they could still ruin other people's chances of making it to that top spot. TSM flashes, they clear. Now, the question is for TSM, if they hit Tornado Energy first, is this when the Northern Lights strike? Is this when it's their go time, so to speak? And maybe they accidentally and inadvertently give them a better position, a better opportunity to capitalize upon that.
Oh, Vex already. Nice work towards Mexi. Looking at Iroh, though, he's got a really good beeline towards the likes of Clib. And who is the other player left alive with him? I actually can't remember who it was at this point. Couldn't quite see as they were over the top. I think it's Ibi, if I'm not mistaken. So again, those 2 might be the last standing bastion of hope for Liquid here. They are the only 2 who can make it count. As the flush does come in, that's going to be going FaZe's way. Liquid are up in second, but with 2 remaining. And a lot of points still between them and DA, but hey, these are one of those games where magic can absolutely happen for them. But the gear, they did manage to get a good couple of boxes off that last fight, so hopefully they'll be able to replenish the supplies, get that going for themselves as Vex, the murderous man, Going to be moving in on that northern side. Careful of Tornado Energy, who are quietly keeping themselves in this. Keep in mind, Northern Lights, Tornado Energy are still very much alive. Third and fourth, waiting patiently for that circle to constrict just that touch further.
So much damage is done, and the lethal utility will now be committed. Northern Lights are also making a very slow approach, but they're moving further down towards the south. Maybe a different angle. Maybe an opportunity to get involved. Vex just goes flying through the air to try and avoid anything that'll be flying his way. They're not quite in the circle just yet. Still a distance off. Clib's trying to keep EB on his feet as much as humanly possible, and that's because FaZe Clan just have a very, very nasty angle on them. I mean, hell, look at the field in front of them. There's nowhere to go. There is an opportunity to maybe grab a vehicle and just try and full-blown DA it, but who knows? The nades could be flying underneath this vehicle. You can get it right between the middle of it, between the back of the truck and the trailer. Wanderer going down will distract FaZe all but a moment and move them towards the WS side, which could be breathing room that Team Liquid needed. Maxi just goes for a bit more of a position. I spoke about the vehicle and maybe putting it to good use. If Liquid do get in the side of the center of the circle before anybody else, it could be the opportunity that they needed.
Oh,
He's just blazing it. They do go down. It's full space that finds them both. Melman then instantly opens up back onto FaZe Clan. The Northern Lights, it's time to get in, and WS repositioning will send them toe-to-toe.
All right. Northern Lights, you better have a strong ending to this, because we've seen FaZe turn up, Liquid turn up, DA had a bit of a mare, but Omicron fragging out so many teams already looking pretty tasty. 2 kills and a quiet end. I don't think that's going to cut it right now. We need Northern Lights to be loud about this one, and WS will be the first port of call. Nade goes towards Maxi, but the molly came back, and bear in mind that smoke is thick enough to make it hard to see just the very edges of that smoke burning. There's already Northern Lights moving further forward. That CIS roster, my god, these guys, when they hit their form, they are unbearably good to watch. WS going to swing on towards the outskirts, trying to move up, off string, trying to use that smoke to maybe help him get slightly further forward, but you can see that utility, flashes thrown, everything being thrown at WS, but they're not dying, they're staying alive.
Northern Lights realize they have to deal and tackle this problem head on. The smokes are up to deny any shots coming in from Tornado Energy, and that's why they have to take WS down, and they have to do it quick. Once those smokes dissipate, they're going to be well and truly open and exposed on the battlefield. The first knocks come through, it's time to push. You have to deal with this now. Perfectix going in, nade in hand, pins are pulled, and out we go. The bombardment will continue. If they get both of these players, it's great. It's TSM, excuse me, that actually faulted, then that actually fall towards TE. Remember now, TE will get themselves back on the feet and then focus onto the Northern Lights, so they have to be quick about this one.
Where are FaZe going? I want to see what happens with FaZe and Northern Lights here, because for Northern Lights, the bigger fight would be move up towards the... Yes, the better fight for Northern Lights is to disconnect, move up north. They know the Tornado Energy is battered and broken from that last fight. However, if the win streak are going to be a pain, they will not let them get across. So, for Northern Lights, I'd say if they could live at the foothills of Tornado Energy, lock them out, that would have been great. But I think they've lost the timing on that. Now they're kind of stuck in no man's land with the lack of ability to close out on WS, who do have to move. FaZe in a similar scenario, though. How do you move up in an open field? There is no cover here. You still have Senya alive. Na'Vi have kept hold of him for a very long time. Just about keeping his head in this one. Tornado Energy back up to 3, I believe. Yes, Alia's still there. Melman's there. Example's still there. Northern Lights do maintain 4, as do FaZe, so some big squads left at the end here. FaZe still have vehicles. That is actually a very big factor. It's mobile cover that they can suddenly put into place. However, with the blue constricting, they need to be very cautious step by step. Same can be said for Tornado Energy. They've got to leave some of this compound.
There's this saving grace right now of these fights. They're actually open up onto one another. Everyone's just ignoring FaZe, but you ignore FaZe and they will backbuild and they will just creep upon you like a ghost. You'll have no idea once it appears. Oh, the blue is going to force this one. T have got to actually run. Look at how damaging it's done to Alia. Out in the blue themselves, Fuzz faces POV. Eventually, they can at least teeter in, so they are on the edge. You spoke about that mobile cover. It's still with them for now. All the smokes are going up in the world. T are just holding on for dear life. T might even hope that WS eliminates or at least does damage to the Northern Lights, and then they can strike. FaZe, it's just picky poison. Who do you want to fight? Which way is it going to go? At the moment, they are moving more towards that northern side. Senya will eventually come out, and I wonder if he is a pain in the ass for somebody. Even one frag onto a team, one knock, would be just detrimental.
There it is. There's the first one. It's going to be Senya doing well. Finds Kemba, flushes as well. WS getting absolutely battered, but look at Tornado Energy. They've led towards Northern Lights. They're going to peek that ridge. FaZe have the cross, though. FaZe going to move forward in the slightly less focused side. Tornado Energy now getting the attention. But they find Fuzzface. Example, are you kidding me? A quick trade out, though. Alia goes down for Spyro. He's going to get that M4 in the right place at the right time, leaving Melman the only one alive. Northern Lights now moving up, sweeping through the fields, trying to eliminate. Where are they? Are they by the smokes? They're going to hear these shots. They're going to see those bullets. 8C going to flush example. A last-ditch attempt comes in, and it did find Uber, but at the cost of his life, Tornado Energy are down. Bear in mind, Senya is still alive. Na'Vi have made it to the top 3. FaZe are down to 2 standing. And Perfectix has cover. It's 8C in the middle of a field, just gun in his hand, holding on as best he can. Hits the deck, also gets knocked. Lose there. Northern Lights might have just pulled this out of the bag, and they had no right to do so. They had 2 teams on him, but they're still fragging. But Gustav has found one. He tries to flush, can't get it, and now gets noted in the bush, sprayed in wildly by Perfectix. Goodbye, FaZe. Hello, Northern Lights against the last man standing, and it will be Northern Lights with a great ending to that game. I said they could not win this quietly, and they didn't. They turned up in that last serve.